Welcome to Team Hope, where today we're coming together to learn strategies that allow us to have a different way of being with people, a way of being that actually promotes hope and resilience. Because our goal here at Team Hope is to just add a bit more hope, a little more resilience into the world. So today we're going to look at a tool called the anger onion. So the anger onion is a tool that came to mind as I was working with many young people over the years. And I realized that underneath their anger, there was sadness. And underneath their sadness, there was fear. And as I learned more about neuroscience, I learned that, yes, in fact, in the brain, irritation equals threat or fear. I also learned that when we see anger, aggression, risk-taking, or self-injurious behavior, if we think sadness and then use it as a bridge, we can bridge from the person's sadness to their fear. And then the point is, you put in your intervention at the level of the fear. When you calm the fear, you've gotten to the root of the problem driving the anger. As I was training on this with the Columbus Care Coalition, one of their members, Jennifer McKenzie, said, "Oh, well, do you have a love onion? If you have an anger onion, you should have a love onion." And I go, "Actually, I don't have one." So she went and created one for us. So thank you, Jennifer McKenzie, for creating the love onion and allowing us to use it to peel the anger onion. And what Jennifer came up with is also spot on with neuroscience, that when we get curious, instead of judgmental about someone's anger, oh, I wonder where that's coming from. Any open-ended question engages curiosity. Curiosity engages your cortex. That's based on neuroscience, not just a pretty thought. Curiosity turns the cortex on. Thank you, Ross Green, for some of the very initial research into that. Open-ended questions engage the cortex because they engage curiosity. So if we can get curious about someone's anger, that allows us to have empathy. The empathy allows us to more clearly see, have our mirror neurons work better so we can actually feel the sadness that would be under that anger. And when we can connect with that sadness, the person feels safe enough to show us their fear. And then we can put the intervention in at the fear, at the level of the fear. Oftentimes when I work with people struggling with addiction, when their loved ones approach them and are trying to support them in their recovery, they often get very angry with those loved ones. And when we can sit down and look at that anger onion, we get curious about, oh, yes, you're having a really strong feeling about your mom or your dad's or your spouse's or someone who you really love, who really matters to you, assistance right now. They're trying to give you assistance, but it doesn't feel that way. So thanks for showing us that. I'm wondering if we can peel back the layers beneath this anger and see what else is going on. And as we do that and get curious, we often find there's a sadness that, gosh, I'm the parent. I shouldn't have my child trying to help me with this. I'm an adult. I don't need my mom telling me what to do. So there's often a feeling of being not as strong as you would like to be in the world, or feeling as if you may have let someone down. There's a sadness in that. And then under that sadness is often the fear of, wow, what if I relapse and I do let them down? And what if I can't do this? So we've gone all the way from someone trying to support you to that support feeling like another way you can fail at an expectation, which is, of course, not how it's meant. But when we can get to that fear, then we can say, what would feel more supportive than this? What would feel like they're with you instead of worried about you? And as we explore that, because it's different for every person, we're looking at what's really causing the anger. And now, some other people who use the anger onion and the love onion will share with us some ways they use it in their world.
Hi, I'm Monica Benton, and I am a victim advocate social worker here with the Cincinnati Police Department. An example of how we've used the anger onion at our job is we are able to run some youth groups, and one particular youth group was the Youth Intervention Group through Juvenile Courts, where we met over a course of 6 weeks to help individuals who were affected by some form of violence, right? They had some misdemeanors, they had some things, but ultimately at the end of the day, what we found was that they've all been impacted by some traumatic event that had something to do with gun violence. One young lady showed up every week angry. We had tried other techniques, reflect, honor, connect. When we were in small groups, when she would share, we had tried some other things, and it just really wasn't working as well as we would have hoped. What we saw was the anger that surfaced. And so one of the interns that was working with her was very, very helpful. She pulled the anger onion out. And with me sitting there, we began to just kind of have a conversation with her about what her anger was. And she got to writing, and what we noticed is that all of her anger has something to do with fear. So we know that with the anger onion, that you have anger, then you have sadness, and then you had fear. And what we learned is that her sadness came from she had been through multiple programs, right? She had been through lots of intervention programs because she had lots of trauma and lots of services and lots of therapy. And she felt as if this was one of the better ones, but had no hope. So she was sad that this would be another program. And ultimately, her sadness then caused some fear, and the fear was is that this is just like everything else and it's going to end, and I'm not going to have the tools or the people that continually show up in these programs as someone that I can rely on, right? They come, they do what they need to do, and then they leave. And so we saw a lot of sadness. And that was really good for us to hear. And it was really good for us to identify with her, having her write it down, then having her talk about all the programs that she had been in. And so I believe that what was helpful was us showing her what the anger onion looked like, right? Like we just took it out and began to work with her through the concept so that she can identify exactly what the anger was coming from. And I do think that sometimes when we are doing some of the techniques, it's important to educate because our clients are people that we work with, they don't necessarily understand why they are angry, right? But when she listed the the reasons why she felt so angry, we were able to have a conversation with her about the sadness and then address some of the fears that we could be different, right? If she gave us an opportunity and really brought back in to reflect on her and connect things. But we were able to get to the fear to say, hey, what would be helpful for you? How would you like to see us show up in your life? And I really do think that that made the difference in us being able to provide an intervention and a mentoring for her, because what she was saying is that she needed connection. So I hope that you guys are able to use the anger onion in some kind of way in your organizations as well. And hopefully you can get the same results that we have here.